This full moon is not going to be like all of the typical full moons that we have had. It is not going to be energetically anywhere near as emotional or as intense as the full moons that we have had throughout this year so far. And because this full moon is the very first full moon of our eclipse season, it is the very first eclipse of the year. It is highly, highly emotional, charged with very deep, very transformative emotions and energies. And it is highly charged with spiritual energy, being in the sign of Pisces at 25 degrees. So this full moon that we're having on September the 17th and 18th is going to be bringing up a lot for us to look at pertaining to our emotions. It's going to be bringing up a lot of awareness and a lot of opportunities to move out of certain patterns, to end or eclipse certain patterns out of our lives that have been holding us back, that have prevented us from being our authentic selves, that have perpetuated emotional patterns that have not been serving, that have kept us stuck, kept us feeling like victims, and kept us feeling like we were on a hamster wheel. So there is a huge opportunity for spiritual reflection and for emotional transformation with this full moon. This is a time to align with your deeper truth and your hidden potential. This is a time to stop lying to yourself about certain things and to start really connecting to the truth that is within you, the truth that your intuition has been speaking, guiding you towards. And because this full moon and eclipse is in the sign of Pisces, it has a lot to do with our mission, our purpose in life. So if you haven't been able to connect with, or if you haven't been able to fully tap in to your mission in life, and if you haven't been able to fully understand what you are truly meant to do and who you are truly meant to do life with, or what people are meant to be on your path that you have a common goal with, a common soul mission with, if you have had confusion around that, this eclipse is going to give you some clarity. There's also a lot of illusion delusion that is present energetically, but simultaneously there's also a lot of energy that is breaking up or breaking down delusion, illusion that we have created for ourselves. So it's a very, very interesting dynamic. It's a very interesting energy, actually, this eclipse, because it brings so much to the surface for awareness, while simultaneously sweeps away so much to clear out, to make space, and to liberate ourselves. So there is this energy of like endings and beginnings, and there are several themes that I'm going to be talking about in a moment throughout this video. And there are also going to be some examples that I'm going to be providing, as well as some journaling questions, some very deep questions that I think you need to ask yourself at this time. This week is a very, very potent week. So I would very strongly recommend that you take some time to tune in. And I noticed that actually with my sessions, just the way those sessions have been going, and just very deep, like truths coming to the surface right now. And it's been so weird. It's like really black and white. Like I haven't been able to sugarcoat any of it. Like it was just really flowing out of me as I was channeling for my clients. It was just flowing very, very raw, very truthfully, very honestly. It was like, okay, like it was very matter of fact, like these are the blocks, this is what's in the way, this is what you're doing, this is what you're repeating, these are the cycles and the patterns that you're constantly looping through. And, the reason why you're not able to move forward, or the reason why there are no changes in your life, or the reason why things seem to just be perpetuating and repeating instead of new unfolding happening. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a lot of this very truth bomb kind of energy to this lunation, to this eclipse. And I remember that eclipses are always about endings. It is always about like endings, new beginnings, but it's always about eclipsing something out of your life. So what in the way that you are thinking, how are you thinking? How are you behaving? How are you constantly feeling? That needs a shift, that needs to pivot, that needs to be redirected into a more positive direction so that you can eclipse that old version out of your life, so that you can eclipse out those parts of yourself and those people, those situations, things, circumstances, situationships that are keeping you looping in your old patterns and your old ways. Habits, addictions, all that stuff, like all of it is just magnified, amplified, and really just shoved in our faces for evaluation, for introspection, and for release. And because this moon is in the sign of Pisces, Pisces connects to our dreams. Pisces connects to intuition. It connects to spirituality. It connects to our emotions. Pisces are very, very sensitive, almost hypersensitive signs. Typically, Pisces is deeply emotional. So Pisces individuals tend to feel very, very deeply. They can also be hurt very, very deeply, offended, and they can take things very, very personally. And Pisces also can be, on the negative aspect, very delusional, living in illusion, creating illusion constantly for themselves, and making up stories and then believing those stories. So with Pisces connecting to the subconscious mind, this is a massive invitation from the universe to connect to your intuition, to connect to your inner wisdom. It's about releasing old, unevolving emotional patterns that are holding you back, that are not allowing you to move forward, that keep you in a perpetual loop of pain, sadness, or suffering of some kind. Unevolving emotional patterns, and I just want to throw a couple of examples out here so that you can help identify these within yourself, would be like avoiding difficult conversations. That's an unevolving emotional pattern, right? You are emotionally addicted to running from difficult conversations. Fear of setting firm boundaries, people pleasing, not speaking your truth out of fear of hurting someone else's feelings, but being okay with hurting yourself as a result. That is a very unevolving emotional pattern, and a lot of people carry that pattern where they're afraid to hurt somebody else's feelings, but completely disregard or are not aware or delusional about how much they're actually hurting themselves, not speaking their truth. Denying your needs, escapism rather than making changes to improve your life, not trusting your intuition, overthinking, and believing the negative stories that are in your head. So these are all very common examples of negative emotional patterns or unevolving emotional patterns that so many of us have, right? So just kind of tune in with yourself and ask yourself, do I do these? And which ones of these do I do? And how frequently and in what situations? Or is this just sort of a really deeply ingrained pattern for me that I do constantly? So this is the perfect moment right now for clearing out what no longer resonates with your soul's journey. Eclipses, remember, are about letting go. They are about release, and they are about eclipsing something out of your life once and for all. Typically, this is something that the universe is asking you to eclipse out of your life permanently. So what is it at this time in your life that you feel needs to go, has run its course, expired, does not serve you well, holds you back in some kind of way? What are those things in your life? So the influence of this eclipse signals a very powerful time to let go, to heal, and to set the stage for spiritual rebirth, because it is in the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is a very spiritual sign, highly intuitive and highly sensitive sign, very tapped into otherworldly realms and very, very tapped into sixth sense, right? So this is an excellent time to connect with higher beings, with the angelic realms, with your higher self, which of course communicates to you through your intuition, right? It's through those feelings, it's those gut feelings and that knowing that like, this isn't for me, or like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or this is what I'm not supposed to be doing, right? It's about really tapping into this so that a spiritual rebirth can take place within you. This is also a time when we're prompted for awakening. It's like this energy allows us to awaken even more to who we are, to our soul mission, to what we've had enough of, to what we're done with, and what we're ready to embrace now, like what we're ready to really experience more of and what we're ready to let go so that we can experience less of. And joining this moon is also Neptune, actually. They're in very close proximity to each other during this eclipse. And Neptune, also being this very sort of dreamy, intuition, spiritual sign, it's bringing this heightened intuition. It's bringing heightened sensitivity, creativity, and heightened emotional awareness, compassion. And Neptune can also bring in like potential confusion because Neptune is sort of very elusive, right? And has a very elusive energy about it. So it can bring a lot of confusion, a lot of doubt, a lot of questioning, right? It's Neptune is kind of also about the hidden, right? It's what is hidden and what is unseen. And so it can bring up a little bit of that feeling within you at this time too. Like maybe there's certain situations or certain people where you're just like, I don't know, like I don't know, what's happening here or what's going on, or like whether this is something that is for me or not for me. And this is why discernment is going to be so important this week. Really making sure that you're tuning into your own intuition and trusting your own gut feelings about stuff, about people, about situations, and allowing yourself to just like do the hard thing. Sometimes we have to walk away from people in order to allow ourselves to like elevate, to lighten our load, right? And this is a very, very opportune time. As a matter of fact, an eclipse is asking you to do this. Can you walk away from those situationships, from those relationships, from those people, circumstances, and things, places, whatever, that make you feel heavy, that make you feel like it's just not going anywhere, that make you feel like it's only perpetuating a certain cycle for you, or just it's like, oh great, here's another round of this shit again, right? Anything that feels that way, this is the time to like let that go, and you have this opportunity to use your power and to step away from that, right? But you have to use your own discernment, and you have to be aware enough within yourself to realize like, hey, I have been perpetuating this issue and I've been feeling this for a long time, that I should walk away from this, and yet I haven't walked away from it yet. Why? Right? Can I walk away from it now? Can I give myself permission to walk away from it now without judging myself, without judging the other, or without judging the situation? Just recognizing that it doesn't work for me, that this isn't helping me to grow in any way, and that it just keeps me stuck, feeling heavy and stagnant, right? So Neptune, bringing its own sort of elusive energy, is certainly blurring the lines between like reality and fantasy. So it's really, really important right now to stay really grounded within yourself and to basically have a reality check, right? That's what this energy is. This is like reality check energy, where it's going to show you the fantasy, but also the reality. And you're going to need to use your own discernment and figure out like which one is the fantasy and which one is the reality, right? Can you look at things and take things at face value? Can you take it as what it actually is and how it presents itself, or how someone presents themselves, and recognize like, okay, if this is how someone is presenting themselves, then they're showing me very clearly who they are, where they're at, and what they're willing to offer or not offer at this time. Correct? So use your discernment, stay really, really grounded so that you're not duping yourself. You're not selling yourself some kind of a story or some kind of a fantasy instead of actually facing the reality, because maybe facing the reality is like an emotional pattern for you, that you run from that and that you refuse to face reality because maybe it's hard, maybe it hurts, maybe it sucks, right? But if that's something that you're doing, then this full moon is going to bring you a reality check about it. So just saying. So this is a pretty big call to look inward and look at your spiritual growth, and look at how you have been perhaps halting or slowing down your spiritual growth because of certain fantasies or illusions that you've been selling yourself, that you've been convincing yourself to be true, when in fact the reality is dictating something else, right? So, and when we become really honest, even though it sucks and even though it really hurts sometimes, and I know because I talk to so many people about this, so many of my clients, that facing reality really can suck. It can really be painful, but it's only painful in that moment and in the process of your ego looking at it. Once you extract the ego from a situation and you start looking at it from a higher perspective, you're going to start to recognize that it actually isn't all that painful, because there's so much value in the lesson. There's so much value in what you're getting to learn as a result of that experience, that you really just start to put the two on a scale, and you start to recognize that the value is has so much more to offer me than the pain. And what within me is addicted to the pain? What within me is attached to feeling like a victim, or feeling like I'm supposed to be sad every time something doesn't turn out, or something doesn't go my way? This is a societal programming, by the way. It's not something that we necessarily have to play out, but so many of us are plugged into that, right? Where we just choose to get really upset when things don't go our way, because that's the societal norm. So as this full moon and as this eclipse is calling you to look inward, to really take your gaze and your focus and turn it inward onto your own soul's path, onto your personal journey, and take your gaze and attention off of other people and what they're doing or not doing. As this moon is asking you to do this, there are some questions I wrote down that are going to help you navigate certain internal challenges that you might be experiencing right now. So some really, really good questions to ask yourself as you are moving through this introspection. And I would highly recommend that you journal your answers so that you can reflect back on it later on. Plus, it's just going to give you so much insight about how the year has sort of gone for you so far and what you've accomplished. So the very first question I would ask you is, how have you grown this year? And ask yourself that and reflect on that and really think about it. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, how have you grown? How have you become a better version of yourself? What have you changed in your life or in your lifestyle? How has your thinking changed? How have your emotional responses changed? So how are you now responding differently to difficult situations than before? Really reflect on that. It's really cool to see how much we've actually grown as we reflect on such things, because when you start recognizing, like, wow, I don't get triggered over that thing anymore, or I don't get sad about this thing anymore, or I don't feel neglected or resentful or any of that, when certain things happen, that gives you massive insight into how much you've actually grown. How have you become stronger this year? And with what? Is it more discipline, discernment? Is it more emotional control? In what ways have you gotten stronger this year? And what do you recognize right now within yourself that still needs to change? What have you not let go of, and why? Still holding on to something, or still attached to something that doesn't serve you. And why are you holding on to it? What are you afraid to lose if you let go? And how does what you have not let go bring you comfort? Because it's really important to recognize your comfort zone and what things you're using to keep yourself stuck in your comfort zone and never venturing outside of it, never growing past it. So how does what you have not let go bring you comfort that you should have let go of? Who do you need to forgive? Who do you still feel resentment towards? And this could include yourself. What are you lying to yourself about? And why? What do you know to be true, but refuse to acknowledge? And this is something that you intuitively know is true, and you have been consciously ignoring it or refusing to acknowledge it. What do you fear the most right now? What are you most afraid of? This could be losing something or someone. This could be fear of loss, fear of pain, fear of abandonment, fear of not being good enough. Just check in with yourself. What gives you anxiety right now? And is that even true? Is it just certain thoughts that you're having about a situation that's giving you anxiety? Or do you have any physical, tangible proof that validates or warrants the fear that you have, that proves or justifies your fear? How do you hold back from expressing your truth? With whom and why? And what are you really afraid of? when it comes to expressing your truth? Are you afraid of rejection? Are you afraid of not being liked, not being accepted, not being validated? So these are just some of the questions I came up with or that I was guided to write down. But take some time. Ask yourself these questions right now, particularly under this energy, because you're going to get answers, you're going to get insight, and you're going to face some probably uncomfortable truths within yourself about it. But those uncomfortable truths are going to help you grow. They're going to help you see yourself from a different perspective, from a different light. And they're going to show you, certain aspects of your shadow, certain ways in which you are tripping yourself up, not allowing yourself to grow or to move on or to let go. Because the moon is connected to our emotions, lunar eclipses bring things to light, especially your unresolved emotions and any subconscious patterns that you may have avoided acknowledging. So this Pisces full moon is urging you to release any illusions, delusions, and any emotional baggage that no longer serves your highest good. What needs to go? What needs to be trimmed away? What emotional baggage do you need to let go of? What emotions are you harboring within yourself that just make you feel like crap all the time? And it doesn't serve you in any positive way, right? This is the time to address those things within yourself, take an honest look at it, and be super real about letting it go. And getting into the action part, right? Like taking action, doing something about it. You can have all the awareness in the world, but if you don't take any action to make changes, once you have that awareness to put you on a new trajectory or a new timeline or to change like the direction you're heading in, then that awareness is useless. Awareness is only useful if you can actually take that awareness and integrate it into your life through action, through doing something, putting something into motion that is going to now produce a different outcome. There are 3 major astrological themes with this lunar eclipse. The very first one of that is endings and beginnings. So this lunar eclipse, without a shadow of a doubt, is definitely going to be bringing some endings in your life, but it's also going to be bringing some new beginnings. So as we know, a full moon always symbolizes completion, right? It is the fullness or the completion of a cycle. And when we have an eclipse basically amplifies that completion and that ending, right? Eclipse wants to eclipse something out of your life, right? So this is signaling significant endings and very powerful new beginnings. So this eclipse energy is essentially telling us and telling you that you are at a spiritual crossroad in your life right now. And many of us, and I'm seeing this theme throughout all the clients that I'm working with, and we are being asked to choose the path, choose the direction that is most in alignment with us, that is most in alignment with our future, with where we are heading, and with the mission that we are meant to fulfill in this lifetime. So as we sit at this crossroads, as we are looking at whether we should go left, right, forward, or backwards, right? You have 4 directions, 4 options. And as you're sitting at this crossroads, you need to really tune in with yourself to figure out which path is the best path forward. So it's time to release old emotional patterns. These would be unproductive ways of handling emotions or dealing with things, right? So this would be like reactive, triggered ways of dealing with things, feeling sad or disappointed all the time over things that are not working out. It's time to release this stuff and really start looking at things from a much higher perspective so that we're not always trapped in the cycle of just feeling like shit when things don't go our way, right? So it's like, ask yourself, like, how do I emotionally respond when things don't go my way? Do I always respond in the same way? Do I always feel the same way? Can I start responding differently? Can I start showing up differently? Can I feel more at peace? Can I take things more as lessons and seeing the value that the situation is trying to teach you? It's also time to release relationships that don't align with you. That too has been a theme in quite a few of my clients' lives at the moment, where people are really noticing that certain people that they're with, they are simply not aligned with. And that it's time to go and that it's time to choose themselves, choose their own happiness. And that is not selfish. And these would be relationships that don't advance or support your mental, emotional, spiritual growth. Okay. Anything that is kind of keeping you stagnant, keeping you stuck in old patterns, any relationships that perpetuate that because the individual in the relationship is also stuck in their own like patterns and they're looping in old unhealthy ways. People like that are the people that, we need to release at this time, that you may need to release at this time. So who are people around you, or what relationships are you in where you can see and recognize, and it's become very obvious to you that, man, like that person just always responds the same way to things, that they always just freak out. They always have the same, emotional responses. They always have the same mental attitude. They always have the same feelings about everything. So it's like, does it really serve me to continue hanging around with this person when all they're doing is constantly activating that same energy or those same patterns and cycles within me? Does it serve you to be with them, to spend time with people like that? Now, sometimes, ending these relationships is not going to be easy. And even though you can see and you can recognize like how, toxic, or not necessarily toxic, but even just unhealthy, a connection like that can be, it can still be very emotional. It could still be very difficult to release people like that from our lives. I have experienced this personally, where I've had to let go of people that just really refused to grow, that really didn't want to put in any work into themselves to grow, to expand, to become higher versions of themselves, to become less reactive and more intuitive, more in alignment with, a higher power. And that's hard. It's not always easy to let people go, even though we know we should. And we just feel and like know intuitively that they're not really good for us. So you might feel emotional about it. You might feel sad about it. You might feel like it's hard to let it go, or that you don't really want to let it go, even though you know you should. And that's okay. I would really recommend that you allow yourself space, allow yourself to get emotional. This Pisces full moon, I think, is going to make you emotional, regardless, because it's amplifying our emotions so much. So let yourself go there, let yourself move through these feelings, and allow yourself to have a good cry about it. Maybe write some of your thoughts or feelings down about that situation or the person, and just release and let go. Because these are going to be very cathartic experiences, very transformative. But in order for the transformation to happen, letting these connections go is necessary. It's necessary for your personal evolution, but it's also necessary to allow you to make space, because that's what it does. When you let something go, then you're making space for something else to come in. And so when we make space and we leave behind those people, those situations, those things that are really not in alignment with us, that are not expanding or growing us in any way anymore, it opens the door for new connections to come into your life. It opens the door for other possibilities, things that are on a higher frequency, that are more on par and more on level with you. And knowing how challenging this letting go process might be for you, I'm going to really recommend that you try and not numb out. So stay present with your feelings, with your emotions. Allow yourself to feel them. Allow yourself to move through them and extract the wisdom that you get from the feeling. So refrain from numbing out, from avoiding or disconnecting from reality this week, especially. It's really going to backfire. It's not going to serve you well to do those things, because when the universe presents us opportunities to let something go, when it's urging us to let something go, when we refuse, what ends up happening is that the pressure just builds and it gets even more intense and it gets even worse. So it's like, if you're not going to do it this eclipse, well, guess what? There's going to be more eclipses coming up this year. So then you're going to feel the intensity. You're going to feel the consequences of choosing to hang on. When we refuse evolution, when we do not want to grow, life tends to get harder, more challenging, and more difficult, because it is unfortunately, only through pain and suffering that we end up making a change. And I find that sad, but it's true. And it's true for every single one of us, including myself, that we often don't make changes until it becomes really painful, until we are forced to. Or what the universe does is that it will bring the change for you. The change that you refuse to make will be brought in for you through taking something away. So the universe will often remove something from your life and will say, you know what? I've been trying to guide you towards walking away from this. You have not wanted to walk away from this. So now I'm going to take it away from you so that you can experience the absence of it. And through that absence, create space so that you can actually find yourself again, so that you can reconnect to yourself, to your truth, and realign with the path that you have been meant to be on, the path that you are supposed to be on. So be sure to maintain boundaries within your relationships and with yourself. This is a good time to get strict with yourself, to have discipline. The second theme of this lunar eclipse in Pisces is spiritual awakening and intuition. There is a massive opportunity. As a matter of fact, there is a massive opening to connect to your spirituality and to your intuition more. So you actually may find that you're just getting way more intuitive hits, more intuitive downloads, more insight, more channeling, more wisdom that just kind of seems to come out of nowhere. That is being heightened. It's being awakened within all of us at this time, which is great because the more intuitive we become, the more spiritual we become, the more clarity we have, the more discernment we have, the more we're able to see truths and follow the right path. So psychic awareness, spiritual insight, clarity is definitely heightened at this time. Things that were not clear to you before, things that you just didn't really understand fully, that you didn't know what to do about. And Neptune's influence, also being in the sign of Pisces, is actually going to tap you into the unseen more. So it's like this double amplification of intuition, of insight, of spiritual awareness that we're all really, really being tapped into. It's like this little door is being opened up within all of us to allow more information to come in, more spiritual wisdom that really accelerates our growth, which is beautiful. So it's a really, really ideal time to trust your intuition, to explore the more spiritual dimensions of life, and very, very simple ways that you can do it. And I find I just tap into my spirituality and it deepens within me when I spend time in nature, when I meditate, when I do breath work. So certain practices, basically everything and anything that silences my mind, allows me to move into a deeper connection with myself and with spirit. And it really allows me to tap into this energy of spiritual wisdom, just clarity. I just get so many messages, so many downloads, so many ideas. Oh my goodness, when I silence my mind. So these practices are going to be very supportive right now. And I'm highly, highly going to be recommending them under this full moon in this eclipse energy. So like forest bathing, for example, going into the forest and going on hikes and just spending a couple of hours in there is really going to be helpful. Pay attention to your dreams. Neptune is also connected to dreams. So really, really pay attention to that. What kind of dreams are you having? Are they prophetic in any way? Are they delivering any kind of messages? Is there anything coming through in your dreams that you feel are very specific, that are messages that you should be paying attention to? And recording and decoding these messages is going to be important. So what I usually do is in my journal, if I have a significant dream that I remember and I remember all the details of, I write that down in my journal. And I kind of, as I write it down, I usually in that moment get immediate awareness of like what the dream was trying to tell me, what it's symbolically representing. So I find that really, really cool. So this energy really supports connecting with your higher self, to connect with your soul's mission, and use music. I find music very helpful. I'll just find whatever type of music specifically speaks to me. I love like shamanic drumming or ethnic, like tribal type of music. Sometimes I need native flute. It's literally different every time. It's just whatever I'm called to in the moment, whatever I'm feeling, and probably whatever vibe that specific music that I'm kind of feeling or choosing for that meditation is providing the exact frequency that I need to tap into like certain insights. So trust your intuition on that. The third theme this lunar eclipse is going to highlight for us is grounded clarity. It's extremely important to be grounded during this time. Don't get lost in the delusion. Using any energy, any emotions, anything that's coming up right now that you feel is like a bit intense or like a little hard to handle, using all of that to channel it into creativity. And you can channel it into creative endeavors in so many different ways. So like art, writing, music, cooking, dancing, whatever way you want to express this, but there's like this opportunity to tap into spiritual wisdom through creation, through some type of creative process. So if you're someone that makes things, with your hands, works with your hands, or an artist of any kind, as you are creating, as you are in the action, you could get a lot of spiritual insight. You could get new ideas. You could get answers that you've been seeking, or supportive messages from your guides, from your angels, from your higher self at this time. So really get into the creation mode. As a matter of fact, for all of September, there's this theme of creation. It's very, very important to create this month because the energies and the planetary alignments very much support our creative passions at this time. And it's like, the more that we get into this creation energy, the more that we're able to tap into different aspects and parts of ourselves, and different parts and aspects of the universe, and like the Akashic records that are going to bring in just really fresh perspectives, fresh ideas, innovative type of ideas. So use this to your benefit. This entire month, actually, I've been getting literally so many ideas. I can barely keep up to write them down all the time, right? Because it's constant. I'm being constantly flooded and bombarded with different things that Spirit is guiding me to talk about, to teach, to, programs, different things to run, events that I need to organize. So yeah, there's a lot going on in the heavens, and there's a lot going on in the heavens here. There's a lot that we're being tapped into, and the more open that you are, the more you're going to get insight into stuff. So stay very, very open and ground yourself. Grounding is so important. I spent about 2 hours the other day out in the grass, and I just laid in the grass, and it was beautiful, sunny. The temperature was perfect, and I just laid there bare feet with my hands touching, my feet touching, and just allowing Mother Earth to hold me, to be that container for me, to ground me, to level me out. And I felt really, really good. I felt super connected. I felt super grounded and super at peace after that. And I found, and I was getting a very strong message actually while I was doing that, to remind my viewers to ground your energy, to get out there barefoot, as even if it's cold, just even for a little bit, but try and connect with nature, with the earth herself, so that you can diffuse some of the heaviness that you might be carrying at this time. And it's like, give it to her, give your heaviness and give your emotional worries to Mother Earth. And as you spend time outside and time in nature reflecting, ask her to take these burdens away from you, to free you of any heaviness that you're carrying at this time, so that you can be a lightened version of yourself, and that you can walk upon this earth and share your energy in a different way with other people. When you are lighter, that lightness is felt by others. And the other reason why you need to stay grounded is because the potential for escapism and for emotional confusion is very, very high at this time. So the more that you can keep yourself leveled, the more that you can keep yourself stable emotionally, the better that you're going to move through it and transition out of those old patterns. It's like you can release them easier when you keep yourself level versus getting reactive about whatever's coming up for you right now. And as I mentioned, this Creativity is going to flow a lot easier this week particularly, but like I said, this entire month. So really, really take advantage of that and allow, unique ideas to flow through you, to come into you. Get the mind out of the way. This is why it's so important for us to ground, to get into our heart space more so that we're not in our head so much, because when you're overly in your head, you can't hear the creative messages. That comes through peace and through calmness. And that's what I find for myself is all of my ideas for videos for different topics always come when I'm most at peace, when I am most relaxed. Okay, so take advantage of these channeling opportunities right now that are here and available, especially if you're someone who's more sensitive, who's more spiritually inclined, because you could tap into something right now that could be very, very helpful for other people, that could be shared with the world in some type of way, in your unique way. So stay open to that. Now, I also wanted to touch on who or what signs will be most affected during this eclipse. And the 4 signs that are most affected, number 1, of course, is Pisces. So anyone with sun, moon, or a rising sign in any of these 4 signs are going to be feeling the intensity and will be experiencing the transformational power of this eclipse tomorrow, more than all of the other signs. The 4 signs are Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius. So if you have personal planets or important points in your chart that are near 25 to 28 degrees, expect some profound changes, let me just say. For Pisces and Virgo, it's going to be emotional revelations that will prompt you to release outdated beliefs and embrace spiritual growth. Gemini and Sagittarius, for you guys, it's about preparing. So you are preparing for shifts in your intellectual pursuits and philosophies. New insights may change your worldview and open you to new possibilities. So for Geminis and Saggies, there's some new possibilities on the horizon, 100%. Prepare for these shifts by staying open, by grounding yourself, by staying very connected to your intuition and trusting your intuition and where it is guiding you. Change the way that you look at your life. Change the way you look at the entire world. And that's huge, because from that growth that you could experience under this eclipse, that growth is typically meant to be shared with others. Stay open to that. Stay tapped into that possibility. And lastly, I just want to share 4 practical tips with you that is going to help you navigate this eclipse energy. That's going to help you maximize and kind of get the best out of it, or the most out of it. To meditate, to tune in, to quiet the mind, to really get into your heart space and allow messages to come through to help you process the deep emotions that are stirred by this full moon. It's going to help you get through it. It's going to help you release a lot more than if you were in resistance. Ground yourself with mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is just awareness of the present moment, of being right here, right now, and in this moment, and how I feel in this moment, and how wonderful everything is in this moment. So keeping those mindfulness practices going right now is going to be very supportive. Being aware of how you're feeling, doing things like yoga, connect you to body consciousness. It really brings you back into your body and helps you feel and connect to your body. Forest bathing, as I mentioned before, is going to be wonderful. Embrace creativity. So definitely get creative in some form or another this week. Let the Piscean energy inspire you, guide you, channel your emotions into something beautiful through artistic expression, whether that's painting, music, or writing, whatever it is you choose. Choose one, choose them all, release what no longer serves you. This is it, baby. It's time to let go. It is time for you to let go. Let go of everything that doesn't serve. Let go of everything that's been annoying. Let go of everything that you've been waiting for. Let go of everything that you thought was supposed to happen, should have happened, could have happened, didn't happen. Okay? This is about really allowing yourself freedom to break free, to get away from limitation, to eclipse something out of your life. Old emotional baggage, illusions, stories you've been telling yourself that are not even true. Use this time to forgive, heal, and move forward with clarity and purpose. Allow yourself to forgive yourself. for anything that you've done wrong or that you think you have done wrong, for anything that you could have done better but didn't do better. Forgive yourself for those, and forgive other people too for their shortcomings, for their lack of consciousness, for their lack of awareness and mindfulness. Forgive them for not seeing you for who you truly are. It's okay. As long as you see yourself for who you truly are, then you don't need that external validation. You don't need other people's opinions or other people to tell you who you are and to tell you why you are lovable. You don't need that. So it's time to let go of emotional baggage. It's time to let go of that need for validation, that need for constant approval. And it's time to embrace your own approval. Can you approve of yourself? Can you validate yourself and tell yourself how good you are and what a good job you are doing? Can you give yourself the love that you are constantly seeking outside of you? And as my final thought, this eclipse energy carries themes of transformation and reassessment in a very deep way. It is urging you to reflect on the personal changes that you need to make at this time to bring more happiness, clarity, inner peace, harmony, and fulfillment back into your life. This September 17th, 18th full moon is an opportunity to embrace emotional healing, tap into your spiritual potential, and release what no longer aligns with your highest path. Release the lessons that you've already learned and don't need to keep repeating and keep learning. So that is the message for this lunar eclipse. I wish you strength and courage to face your own truth, to be honest with yourself, and to choose yourself and your happiness. Thank you so much for watching. And if you've made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate your dedication to understanding yourself on a deeper level. I commend you for that. I respect you for that, and I see you. If you resonate with this message in any way, please hit a like on your way out, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.